Hello, guys. It's Shane Davis. I'm here with Yanzi Lynn, and we are in 2026. First off and foremost, we want to thank everyone for supporting us all this year with our crowdfunded books, Inglorious Rex 3 and Anatomic. And it looks like we'll be getting Anatomic from the printer and going into fulfillment of February of this year, unless we get a different date from the printer. So we're looking forward to that. And then following after that will be Inglorious Rex 3. Want a big shout out for everybody who got us to $301,000 on Inglorious Rex 3 this last year. And again, another epic win with Anatomic, our spinoff book, first spinoff book of a series, getting a whopping 140, is it 149, $140,000. So big shout out, big thanks to everybody. It was a phenomenal year. And therefore, we're going to have to talk about some of the top comics sold last year. And this list is kind of interesting. In some ways, people are going to say this is a good sign because there's two narratives we talked about when I covered the Beats article talking about a return to floppies. A lot of people saying there's a return to floppies and monthly comic sales. Yanzi, do you feel that as we've been seeing brick and mortar stores going under?
We've been seeing a lot of the stores around us just kind of shut down. Remember, there was that one store that said they were shutting down on the 1st of April, and we're like, is that a joke? And they're like, nah, it's real. We really are shutting down on the 1st of April. So
Yeah.
Really Cool put together this list of what they call it 9 best-selling comics of 2025. Now, this is based on the data from Comic Hub from 120 to 150 comic book stores. So I think that's a very narrow slice. They say that's from the mid-range store, so they can say you can extrapolate the data and say maybe it is all, you can use it to say that's how the general industry is, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, the Comics Hub thing has been really weird and really dodgy. For people that don't know, normies, basically the numbers, even when I worked as freelance, editors at DC Comics would explain to me that they didn't even know the sales numbers, but that ICV2 numbers were a good gauge of knowing the placement. And it was all based off of if Batman sold 100,000 copies. Now, generally everybody knows Batman's a top selling character. Now, what we're looking at with this list today isn't like the ICV numbers of the past because now everybody's using different distribution. So the numbers aren't exactly together. It's kind of guesswork and it's kind of sewn together through my understanding of Comics Hub, which is not a great representation of all shops. So it's kind of like, I don't know, data being given by the shops, and I'm not even sure if it's the actual sales of the shops or just what they're saying, the shops are saying that people are into. Now, what I mean by that is, are people talking about a book in your shop or are people actually buying the book? Those are two different things in some cases. Now, I'm going to say Batman is probably a top selling book, and this has been a year where everybody, including Marvel, has done their best to keep Batman selling by having a Deadpool Batman crossover. So this has been a weird year for Batman altogether. You had Absolute Batman, you had Batman Deadpool, you had Batman #1 with blind bags, you've had DC KO, which obviously has Batman in it. You had Hush 2. Again, a lot of retro Batman fans coming back to that from the original, same creators of the original Hush run. And then you end up with a zinger in here like Absolute Flash. Again, probably coming off riding the coattails of Absolute Batman. So a lot of Batman being sold. And this is, again, I know people are going to say Shane's a doomsday sayer. Shane's out here hating Snyder or whatever, Absolute Batman. I read the comments, guys. I'm not saying that. What I am going to say, though, is this isn't good. Okay, this is not healthy. This is not the comic industry at its healthiest. I'm going to throw some instances out here of a healthier comic industry, right? And here's a couple examples, right? When New 52 was coming out and Civil War was coming out and they were dominating the top 10. That was a weekly DC comic series that was riding the top 10 all four throughout the month, 4 slots on a bunch of other DC characters that were not the Trinity characters. So that was healthy. A lot of people reading other DC Comics characters. Another example, Civil War, right? Introducing the whole Marvel Universe crossover event. Everybody's reading any character from New Warriors to Giant Man to along with Tony Stark and Iron Man. Sure. Okay, great examples there of books that help in general sell a bigger comic library of characters, right? It introduces a lot of people to other characters, which hopefully you think, sends them off to buy other books. And Batman's going to sell itself. Now, we've seen things like this with, say, Darkest Night, the Green Lantern stuff that Jeff Johns did, and how that the Green Lantern run was such a big hit that they had to make an overall event that kind of crossover with all of DC Comics. And again, that's another great example of healthy comics. This to me is a really bad, and I know everybody's gonna rage quit, me on this, but before you do, hit that like, subscribe, ring the bell for notification.
I want to bring up one thing though. So people actually noticing that the top best 9 selling books have a big ton of variants, and this person says, I don't find it healthy. So for example, they say that Deadpool Batman had 49 variants, Batman number 1 had 89 variants, Batman Deadpool had 35 variants, blah blah blah. So what you're basically seeing over here is that even though these books are the top sellers, they are being propped up mainly by collectors who really just want to get every single cover, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because after all, hey, half the fun in being a fan is collecting, right?
It's worse than that because when I hear 49 variant covers, I know Marvel and DC, or when Marvel printed their Batman Deadpool crossover, they didn't probably do 49 covers. There's probably like 30 of those covers are retail variants. So it's actually not propped up by collectors, but propped up by retailers that are wanting to get their orders in on a cover that then they can put up on eBay and they can sell for whatever price. Right. I mean, that's kind of the weirdness of that. And in some cases, there's actual comic artists like people like J. Scott Campbell who are ordering their own variant cover and selling their own variant cover. Do know that Marvel's counting those in the units sold. And sometimes, for what they're charging, they don't have to sell through their 1,000 to 2,000 copies that they're ordering. They just need to sell a fraction of that to break even or even profit. And this goes from comic shops to whoever. It's like when Frank Miller did, I think it was like the Master Race book, whatever. Every retailer wanted a copy, their own store copy. So there were 1 million variant covers for that. And that actually, it's kind of sad that the retailers always jump at those on really big books. And it kind of is a high risk, sometimes low reward situation. And
remember the Batman and Catwoman wedding thing?
Yeah.
A lot of retailers got burnt on that. We happen to know some retailers who are very upset about that.
Our retailer friend who owned more than 2 shops, that's all I'm going to say, was furious and was actually on the phone with the DC rep saying, you're promising me they're getting married. I just ordered 3 copies of this cover. And he's like, yeah, they are. Rest assured, you're going to be able to sell what you ordered. And he goes, I'm holding the box of books right now. I'm holding the page open. You're lying to me. So it's kind of predatory on the retailers that way. And companies knowingly, that's a true story. Me and Yanzi both can testify to that's how that type of retail variant thing goes. Now, look, I mean, would he had still ordered a cover? Yeah, he just wouldn't order 3 versions of the same cover, being a virgin cover, a line art. He wouldn't went all in on it. And you saw what the reaction. We're not going to get off on that. So the reasons why I was saying earlier, why this is some of the worst news for comics, when a lot of people are going to say this is a great news for comics, is a little thing called in 2035, Batman is public domain, right? So like literally the top selling books this year, we are living in the day and age of modern mainstream comics. The old saying, all your eggs in one basket. And that basket is Batman. And the problem is aging like dairy product in your fridge. This Batman has an expiration date. In 2035, he will become public domain. And this is where DC Comics, this doesn't look good to Netflix or Paramount or whoever's getting ready to buy it. I'm going to play a couple of scenarios here. I'm a buyer, and let's do half glass full scenario first. Let me lead with that. Okay, I'm Netflix or Paramount. I'm buying this company. Here's a very expensive publishing division. I need lawyers. I need editors. I got to deal with social politics, and editors may be putting their politics in books and the backlash of that. I got Red Hood books I have to pull off the shelf. But I really love DC Comics. I want to keep it going. I see this and I go, hey, comic sales are great, but I need the rest of the comics to sell. I need my Nightwing to sell. It's good. Look right here. I got Flash to hit the list. Okay. Battle Beast, I don't care about. Why can't we do what Battle Beast did? I don't know what Battle Beast is. Oh, it's an Invincible spinoff. Okay. Well, we have millions of spinoffs of Batman. Why isn't Justice League on this list? And let's say I'm wishfully thinking, DC Comics, I need you. Here's a blank checkbook. I'm Netflix. I'm Netflix rich. I need you to go make Booster Gold sell. I need you to go make Blue Beetle sell, Green Lantern, Flash, Wonder Woman. I actually need numbers with Wonder Woman. Everybody knows who Wonder Woman is. Why isn't Wonder Woman on the top 5 books sold this year? And while you're at it, Superman, right? Everybody knows who's Superman. Why isn't Superman selling? And that's me being glass half full type of guy. Best situation that we could get in 2026, 2027. That is the absolute best for DC Comics. Here's the glass half empty situation, right, Yanzi? The glass half empty situation is I look at this data and I go, wow, I bought a comic book company and people only really seem to care about Batman. And maybe if Absolute Batman sells enough, maybe they care about Absolute Flash. Maybe, and that's your comic company that you paid a lot of money for. And you come to realize, I don't even know if I need to make comics. Because
they just have to make Batman. Based on the data here, you only need one character, and that character is Batman.
And there's the problem. But what glass half empty guy, I only have to make Batman. You're right. But guess what? Batman, am I investing in comics? Because I'm losing Batman in 2035, in less than 10 years. How much money? I'm actually going to start pulling out of comics. And better yet, I have this big comic library of characters, including Batman. Well, I need to license this out to somebody else and let them make a few of these books, because I'm not going to make Blue Beetle books. Let it be somebody else's problem. And that's the worst case scenario for 2026 and 2027. And let's be honest, in the corporate world of companies buying one another out, that's probably where this is going.
Well, I'm going to offer up one thing you see, and that's the reason why they are like rah-rah-rahing about Absolute Batman selling gangbusters. So I have heard people describe Absolute Batman as the Batman for Gen Z in a way. So it's going to be this edgy, blue-collar Batman thing, and with all these monstrous villains, all that stuff, right? So that's how DC is solidifying their claim on Batman. That's going to be their version of Batman when Batman becomes public domain in 2035, right? Here's the problem, though. You get by on basically 2 things with your Absolute Batman right now, and that is that he's edgy and his villains are monstrous. I tell you, by 2035, when Batman becomes public domain, everyone's going to do a version of Batman that's so edgy, so outrageous, that they'll make Absolute Batman look like Hello Kitty, okay?
Right.
So there's no point trying to say we are making a new edgy version of Batman that you can hold on to the copyright of. Because guess what? The moment it comes public domain, people are going to outdo you on that.
Oh, yeah.
So Batman has no value as a character in 10 years' time.
And that's not even accounting for AI and where that's going to be in a few years. You're going to see people, the second the clock ticks over, there's going to be it'll be like fireworks of AI versions of a Batman that are legally distinct from DC Comics that everybody owns. And it's the worst case scenario. That property is. The problem is now that property, and somebody was saying Absolute Batman is this thing that DC Comics is pushing so hard and trying to lead confidence, and they're saying it's selling 300,000 copies. That could be true. Maybe it isn't. It's coming from DC Comics. DC Comics doesn't actually usually tell their numbers as far as I've ever been there. So it's weird that they would put that statement out. The last time I've ever heard a company actually own up to a book selling a certain amount of copies was, I think, Civil War #2, second printing or something like that, or initial printing of Civil War #2 was 200,000 copies before it went into a second printing or something like that. So say Absolute Batman, look, I hope it's selling that much. But if that's the case for keeping DC Comics alive and the comic industry alive, I think it's a horrible example, because when I see this data, I go, I'm actually more impressed by Battle Beast being on this list than anything. Now, I do know it's an Invincible character. It's got an Amazon show and stuff. But see, at first when I saw it, and I don't read Invincible and I don't watch the show, I didn't know that. And I was like, wow, okay, I'm excited to see people talking about some brand new character I've never heard about. And that actually made me want to pick it up. Actually, here's the troubling thing. Some of the books I've been buying this year have been Ghost Machine books and Skybound books, whether it be Transformers Energon or the new David Finch book, Skin something. I bought 2 issues of it. Some of the best comic artists and talent right now are not working at DC Comics. Is that going to make a sales difference? Maybe, maybe not. I think if, like, say David Finch had been like on, I don't know, Superman this year, and with a Jeff Loeb, I think possibly we could have saw a Superman book on this list. The reality is some of the best creative minds are not working at DC Comics. And again, this is, to me, like a House of Cards situation. And I know people are going to say this is just that YouTuber hates mainstream comics talk, but no, this is real business talk here. I don't know how interested the new owners, or even the owners right now of Warner Brothers, is selling a new Batman #1 or a new Batman comic. They're probably more interested. James Gunn himself is probably more interested in developing a good run for Green Lantern that he can pull from, or something like that, or Clayface. I see the weird thing is, even if there's needs to be research and development, you need people to still buy it to even know if they're interested in it. What I mean is, like, if let's say if I'm using Wonder Woman as an example, I'm doing a Wonder Woman run, I want to get a research and development out there of it. I still need it to sell well enough to get a good pulling of opinions of what they think about it. I don't need it to sell 10,000 copies, because then I'm only going to get an opinion out of so many of those 10,000 people online. I need a bigger sell. I want this thing selling 100,000 copies so I can get a bigger pulling of opinions of that book based off of that number, right? You're trying to cast a wide net through selling multiple copies to see if you did good development, research and development, if people had a negative response to your idea in your run or a positive response. And right now, as a publishing division of DC Comics, I mean, it seems like nobody is even reading these other books if you're justifying making comics as research and development. Yeah, sure, you're making a character I own, but what good is a character I own if nobody cares about it, if nobody talks about it? And again, I'm doing business talk, and I've been in these rooms with these people, especially the higher up the food chain you go. This is the reality, and it doesn't matter all the guys at the bottom, all the creators, all the freelancers, all the fans. What you want is the guy at the top that's going to allow these characters to exist in a comic book one day. And I'm afraid the time is ticking down on that. We wanted to do this video because I feel like the industry, we're going to have tons of videos about the market trying to right itself, the aftermath of the Diamond bankruptcy, first chapter 11, then chapter 7. We're getting ready to hear about all the fallout of that, because there's tons of people that are not going to get their money, are not getting their stock back. And how are they going to deal with those losses? I would like to say this is going to be one of the best year in comics. Look no further than 9 Lives Comics. If you guys are new, you can buy any of our overstock on our site. We will be doing a couple of crowdfunds this year after fulfilling Inglorious Rex 3 and Anatomic. We will run Inglorious Rex 4 and Anatomic 2. Anatomic 2 is already drawn. So, and we're already working on Inglorious Rex 4. You can catch up if you're new. Don't worry about that. We got Inglorious Rex 1 and 2 over here on our site. It does ship out next day. We'll leave you guys with a trailer for this. And Yanzi, let's look forward to 2026. Yep. Catch you guys again with another video. Bye.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. Truth always hurts worse. Doing good till first reverse, now you last. Blast of the past. It's cool though. Last card player right. Uno. We never let up. Been down forever. Sick man, we fed up. Know that we tired. Wake up the beast that's been sleeping inside. It's time to ride. We ready to slide. Hard headed. I will not listen if you do not get it. That's your bad. Keep up in the sky like we see you feet up. Metal meets metal, it's no keeping up. Sniper division, it's no seeing us. This here is earned, ain't no hookups. So if you wanna eat